Hello, I am CouchQ, and you are watching a Warhammer review, a very special Warhammer review because it's a game called Hired Gun from the Necromunda lore, which is very interesting because I was a kid when the first one came out. This is some of the original artwork on that board game, and of course that's been modernized, and weirdly we had a turn-based Necromunda game come out about a year and a half ago which really panned on the critics. I feel terrible for that game. I will look into it. Apparently it's massively broken. It's still worth a look because that brings me to this game. Is not doing very well on Metacritic at the moment. And I'll get to this in the review, but this is a great video game and this holds a lot up against some of the best first-person shooters out on the market, but it also surpasses Space Marine for me as a Warhammer 40k shooter. That's huge because Space Marine was incredible. You may have already noticed that it handles and looks a lot like Ghost Runner. A bit of Doom Eternal in there, not a bad thing. Now this game's got a lot to do because we've got Darktide coming out, which is from the Vermintide team, Shark Tank, and that's also very gun heavy, and it's also first person, and it's online multiplayer, which this doesn't have, so it's already lost a few points when it's running up against something that I deem is going to be extremely similar. That's just also extremely similar to the Space Hulk first-person game we had, which again did not do very well, janky as hell. Now let's start first up with what we're looking at. I've gone through some of the static scenery in the game out of combat because I want to show how much of a great homage they've made to the Underhive and the Hive worlds within the Imperium. It's incredible. Bit of a spoiler on that grill, but it's totally succeeded on creating an amazingly dirty, filthy and huge immersive world for you to have a look at. It's very good. It's probably the best Hive world representation I've seen in a modern video game. There's not a big market for that, but they totally delivered on it. Top marks for that one, guys.
Those Ulanti are getting sloppy.
This is your central hub, obviously. Kind of reminds me of Remnants with a handful of NPCs, only essentials really, not too huge. Upgrades, mission board, a bar lady, and of course you've got your guy, Jericho. No real surprises here, good layout, nice aesthetics. Talking of nice aesthetics, you'll walk round corners and just see a really well-made piece of lore-ridden, great Warhammer installation art. There you go. This is the train, Kevin. You get on this massive Imperial train, and Jesus, they do the scale perfectly. That's one of the things that it blends quite well, is how minuscule you are in these massive corridors and worlds. But what I am going to say is a lot of the cutscenes are kind of unnecessary. I'm not too sucked into the story, but I keep getting shoved out of the immersion because the cutscenes are just terrible and full of some awesome jank, which we really should be memeing at some point.
You really do ask dumb questions, don't ya? Tell me! I'm getting out of here. You ought to too, Skinny.
So let's get to the meat and potatoes. By the way, the green numbers on the top right, that's the frames per second. The MS is the milliseconds, that's the game talking to the machine, but it's the top number we're interested in. And yeah, I got a dip to 40 frames per second in this sequence. Now there's two things to remember. This is the first time the game has actually approached a group of enemies, and I think something's happening in the background, because I never ever, hands on heart, the rest of this video got a single dip below 2 or 3 frames per second. So that was mildly strange to say the least. We do have to remember this game retails at 35 UK pounds. That would make it about $400. So great value for money there, but it's sometimes poking out the sides a little bit with its design. I got lost a lot. Those green lights aren't very well placed. You will be extremely confused about your mission objectives sometimes, and I had a boss actually just glitch out in the furniture and I could still kill him. But none of it detracts at all. My passion for this game far outweighs any of its technical issues. You may have seen quite a lot of the mainstream reviewers praise this game, and they should be. The combat is absolutely epic. Now here's the thing, your dodge is on L3, your special is on R3, and you also have a double jump, and you also have a winch, right? So you are never ever out of ideas to stay airborne. So it's past Ghost Runner, it's past Doom, because because you are constantly going for different options and directions. Sometimes you'll just run out in Doom and have to be land bound for ages, and I wouldn't say that takes away from Doom, because it was never supposed to be a goddamn flying FPS, but this is a flying FPS. If you've played beats per minute, it's not too dissimilar to that constant flow. And I'm going out on a limb here, but the core mechanics of this game are so tight and well made that it really feels like it might have been something else that had a Warhammer skin put on it. That's a big accusation, and it's probably not the case. And it's a brilliant surprise to be playing a AA game that has a unbroken, excellent core mechanic laid underneath some brilliantly implemented Warhammer lore. The reason I say it, I think it might have been slapped on afterwards, is because it just doesn't go deep enough for me, and it's a bit weird in places on certain aspects and characters, and it's completely ignored some massive swathes of really cool gang lore and aspects of that original board game. So here's the next kicker. The guns are absolutely phenomenal. All the different types, be it energy weapons and las cannons and heavy bolters, even pistol bolters and shotguns, everything has a beautiful style about it and character about it. And there's tinkering to the hill. I'm talking about all the little attachments that go onto your magazines and trinkets, optics and sights, barrel muzzles to reduce kickback. Everything can be pulled on and off. 25% of the game loop is loot, but it's placed well enough not to distract you too much, but just give you that amazing carrot that says you might be finding a brand new weapon in this game that will completely change your game style. Now, I haven't even got to the dog or upgrading that. It's on circle. It kind of acts as a scanner because it makes everybody appear in red, and it will go for the guys that are near you and completely distract everybody. So here's the next thing. I was just getting to the stage in the game where I'm like, I kind of know all these enemy types. I kind of got my head around exactly what they're going to do to me and when they're going to do it. Incidentally, you can dodge underneath the projectile. So if you're running forward, you can instigate your skid, which is a crouch essentially, and bullets will go right over your head, but at the same time you're launching yourself towards the enemy and firing. That's kind of a Vanquish Bulletstorm thing going on there, but this might be a bit spoilerish. But yeah, I was just thinking, you know what I want? A badly rendered Gene Stealer. Yeah! Someone might want to call the old Xeno Exterminators, because yeah, Tyranids are running rampant in a hive city and no one's but you and a handful of other people are doing anything about it. That sort of stuff kind of miffs me a bit, but I love the change up and the difference in missions. Not always going and blasting an entire room. By the way, there's sometimes sound glitch. I'll play that again for you. No warning, don't know if that's deliberate, but small things like that will make you realise that yeah, you're not playing a AA game, but when that gun's going off and you're doing your double jump and sliding in the air and winching out of trouble and shooting stuff in the back, you're just smiling and having a AAA experience. I do not kid you, it's absolutely fantastic, this game. Totally recommended by me. It's got all of the cool cherry-picked ideas from first-person shooters we've seen in the last couple of years, whacked into a Warhammer brilliantly implemented lore, be it a little bit shallow. I do love the narrate. I think it might be the same guy from Vermintide. There's loads of cool English voiceovers in it. He kind of sounds like the guy from 12 Monkeys that's talking to Bruce. He's got this weird, leery thing going on. So yeah, I can totally sympathise with him.
I said you can't hide from them.
Don't. You could be stranded up there with a whole lot of angry Orlocks.
So it's safe to say I'm extremely happy with the game. I do want to see some more patches though, and I'm annoyed that we don't get 4K. Maybe that is going to get upped a bit. I think it's doing some checkerboarding and some super sampling, because it's certainly not 1080 in places. Of course I love this dog. He's gradually turning into a Cybertooth menace. It's going to be epic to see the endgame Mastiff. And I've been Couch Coop, and I'll see you all down there.